Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Friday. How is everyone doing today? I hope that you all had a good week. We are coming in like old times from the home office today. So I told JJ it feels a little weird doing one from home because we haven't done that. Not from this office in a long time. How is everyone doing? Who all is on? Get my computer up. We don't have JJ's computer at home or his laptop. Hey Brent, how are ya? Did you have a good week? Anybody have anything exciting happen this week? Anything interesting going on with your states and everything being shut down? Hi, Jean McIntyre. Hey, Rob. Happy Friday dance party. I like it. I hope everybody tuned in to the reality show. If you weren't on live with us last night, that you've watched it. Hey, Fred. How are you? It's good to see you. Business definitely bouncing back now. Good. I'm glad, Brent. Yeah. I don't want to, it's like crazy because it's back whenever the numbers weren't that high across the whole United States, we were all shut down, and now we're open back up and numbers are shooting back up like crazy and nothing is shutting down, gladly, but then I know businesses are still struggling. Yes, he is going to take questions today, as always. But here in Oklahoma, things are open. For the most part, we're all open, and we do have some cities with mask ordinances and mask mandates and stuff like that. But the schools are all coming out with their own plans as to how we're going to be doing school next year, which is going to be really interesting. So I'm just ready for a little bit of normalcy. All right, I'm getting the live pulled up on my computer so I can see everything. Hi, Stacy, and hi, Charlotte. Oh, Charlotte, I'm so sorry to hear about that. Charlotte's aunt passed away from COVID-19 this morning, so I am incredibly sorry, and our thoughts are with you guys. I can't even imagine. Oh, that's really awesome. JJ is an amazing man. You made a lot of money off of his advice. Thank you again for saving his company. That's so awesome. Hey, Tony and Larissa and Miss Valerie Clark. So glad to see you on here. And Melinda. Is normalcy the word of the day? That's a good one. That is a good one. Happy Friday, James. And there she is, our niece with flying colors. She, Miss with flying colors has some new business ventures that she's getting into. So we're excited for her for that. I'm gonna have to shut those blinds. It's bright. It's bright over there. 55 people on already. We really appreciate all of you guys. Yes, we love you too, Charlotte. Again, I am so very sorry for that. Charlotte is one of the many awesome business owners that joined in to join JJ the CPA in a 12-week program that he has put together. If you don't know what that is, then you should head over to jjthecpa.com and you should read underneath the title, Money Never Sleeps and Neither Should You. And you have an opportunity to have JJ the CPA as your personal CPA for 12 weeks. And the application deadline ends tonight at midnight. So make sure that you get in your applications if you are interested in being part of that group. I saw something about, are my stars for the mighty Dallas Cowboys? That's a good one. I didn't even think about that whenever I bought this jacket. I'm not a football. I've got stars on me, but I'm not a football girl. I'm a baseball girl. Hi, Rock and Rod. How are you from upstate New York? Bless everybody's heart that is in New York. I hope things are slowly starting to get back to normal. Brian tuned into the reality show yesterday. First time watching. Aw, well, I'm glad that, I'm glad. I know, Greg. Roll Tide though. JJ's laughing at me. I just don't know that much about football. Like, JJ and I we go watch the Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma, the OU Sooners. But I just don't know that much about football. Baseball's always been my thing. So anyways, I forgot what I was saying. I'm not good at this. This is why, like, you guys have had me for 6 minutes now. So I've went over my time because I just talk and I'm all over the place. This is kind of how I am in real life. I'm just all over the place. He is ready. All right. So the man that you came here for, now that you've got your, oh, he's showing me up. He's bringing out the football. So anyways, the guy that you've been waiting for is here. Drum roll, please. JJ, the CPA.
Oh my goodness, aren't you great? Isn't Amanda awesome?
Thank you.
Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you for being on. I've got CSR's shirt on, Card Shop Reality. Like you, one of our awesome friends, fans, part of the JJ, the CPA movement family. And the hat that I've got on is from Habanero's Cigar Shop down in Florida. We've got a lot of friends. I heard Fred is on.
Yes, Fred is on.
We've got Gene, and we've got some Roll Tide going.
Yes, Greg is on.
And Greg and Charlotte. Charlotte, yeah, sorry to hear about your aunt. That's awful, especially given that it's part of this pandemic that's going on. So many thoughts and prayers for you and your family. Well, with that, we will, in hopefully a very respectful way, we just tip our glasses and tip our hats and silence for, Charlotte's aunt. That's just terrible. So I'm sorry to hear that, and thanks for letting us know as well. All right, so typically we always have a word that goes along with our happy hour. And what's our word today? PPP 2.0. PPP 2.0. Did we release that video? It looked like it had not been released. PPP 1 versus PPP 2. So I did a couple of videos today. Probably, thank you, Charlotte. Probably you've seen them. If you haven't, quick recap of what's going on right now. This week we're in a holding pattern. Monday, which seems like it was yesterday, but Monday, the Senate put out on the floor a HEALS Act, which was a response to the Democrats' HEROES Act. So I'm not talking politics, just how it's all played out. And in that is the PPP 2.0. I was surprised to learn, so I did a video on Tuesday. I was surprised to learn that half of the Republicans were not for it, or for the HEALS Act, and it sounded, very strong negative reaction. I know that it's politics and it's politicians, and they're gonna go all the way to the one side of the field, and in a matter of 30 seconds they'll be on the other side sometimes, but it really gave me a sense that nothing was gonna happen in a hurry. I was hoping that maybe it'd be introduced on Monday, since there seemed to be a lot of behind the scenes before it even hit the floor of the Senate, meaning the prior week, on Thursday we thought it was gonna come out, on Friday we thought it was gonna come out. Anyways, within that is PPP 2.0, as in another round, meaning you could get a second PPP loan. The big difference being all proposed And I've covered it in this video that I guess we just released.
Yeah, we were waiting on the ads to approve.
And but basically breaking down the difference, the key difference between 1.0, 2.0, and that is this: there's going to be some kind of test required, calculation required to show that you have financially been affected by the pandemic, which has been identified as analyzing and comparing your gross revenue. And so I do a couple of calculations. Right now it's either comparing first quarter 19 to first quarter 20, or second quarter 19 to second quarter 2020. And right now proposed is that there would be more than a 50% drop in gross revenue. So I run through some calculations on that. It makes sense to go and take a look at your numbers. So I put together a number of videos this week just talking about how to get prepared, especially for the self-employed. So if you haven't seen those videos, check them out. There's some things in there related to the employee retention credit, the $1,200 stimulus check. The White House is indicating that they would like to break up these issues into separate bills, and that may allow things to move quicker, especially that the HEALS Act also includes aid for schools, which we know is starting up in some places now, most places here in the next 30 days. So when we're talking about PPP 2.0, grab a coffee, a water, a Coke. If you are on the East Coast, you might already be home. If you're driving, you better be drinking water or Coke. But anyways, PPP 2.0, cheers to you. Happy Friday. Is Glenda on?
No, I haven't seen her.
Not yet. I think she picks up her granddaughter on Fridays. So we've received a number of gifts, and so we really appreciate it. We got a couple of nice notes this last week, so thank you for those that come in. Who had indicated that I had my videos had been helping their clients?
Oh, that was Osmond. JJ, you were a good man.
Okay. Awesome.
I made a lot of money off you and your advice. Thanks again for saving my company.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, and I really appreciate it. We are going to answer some questions. I do feel like even if something were to pass next week, the PPP would probably be at least another week or two after that before it would probably open back up. The reason I say that is that if you remember when PPP 1.0 came into play out of the March 27th CARES Act, it did get rolled out April 3rd, which was amazingly quick. But there were a number of individuals, or number of banks and businesses that through that confusion got incorrect amounts or allowed incorrect amounts to go out. So I feel like they're going to be a little bit more careful in the process. Also, on the 8th is when you have to get and approved for PPP 1.0, which doesn't have a qualification for you to show that your revenue has been reduced. Did I say PPP 2?
Guess who is on?
Who?
Somebody we haven't talked to in a long, long time, and that would be Jason with Darkwater Megs.
How you doing, Jason? Good to see you. Thanks for being on. Really appreciate it. Hope things are going well. But when we are...
He said hair is still wet, but he made it in time for the live.
I love it. I love it. Yes, Darkwater Megs up here. I can't quite see it. Will you grab that for me? Sent us a Megalodon shark's tooth in April. We were in lockdown, so he had sent it, and we didn't get it actually for well, it was sitting at my office for a couple of weeks. But anyway, so this is what Jason does. He dives and gets these dinosaur shark teeth, and he has recreated from real teeth,
Yep.
the full mouth of a Megalodon. So great to see you. And we've got a lot of familiar. Fred, how you doing? Gene, how you doing? I don't have my computer, so I can't quite see who we've got on with us, but thank you so much. And thank you for that, Dr. Kenny. So here's the thing, though, is that with PPP1, we have until August 8th, and that then is followed by August 10th, when the SBA portal will open to banks to receive then the forgiveness applications, which is all to say, I am very much thinking that the SBA is going to have plenty to do approving the last, applicants for PPP1 and then opening up the portal. And I think there's going to be a number of issues at hand related to that they'll have to iron out because they've never done it before. So I don't think that they would be providing PPP2 until mid-August to the third week of August. PPP2. So with that being said, and this has kind of been the theme of my videos, not to be a downer, but for us to prepare that I don't think we would get any PPP funds paid out, including PPP 2.0, until, like I said, late August. And so my theme in the videos are, let's prepare for August in not having any additional aid, unfortunately. And the same thing with $1,200 checks. And if they were to get approved, today, it's going to be weeks, probably into September, before those are hitting anybody's bank accounts or doorsteps. The extension of PUA, we're here. It's expired, and unfortunately. But even if they reenact that or put it back into play, even at a reduced amount, the states have to see what new qualifications there are, get the money from the feds, and then pay it out. So I'm anticipating, and I hate to say it, but I'm anticipating a rough August. A number of states have moved backwards in the opening process, or if you have been able to be open, you might be at a diminished capacity. I was visiting with the client yesterday, and he said, I'm not going to the dentist. I'm just going to have my wife cut my hair, and that's probably the sentiment with a lot of people. And so there's been PPP that's propped up, probably the EIDL that has been propping us up. That's starting to get used up. And we might have had some cash reserves, but as we are bringing in less revenue, even if it's 25% less, that starts to catch up with itself, which is all to say this: we know that there is a big bright light heading our way, and we know it's a train. So we have time to get off the tracks and make some decisions, which may include some tough decisions related to employees. I hate to say it, related to paying debt, related to paying rent, paying your mortgage, what expenses, making sure that you're staying with your clients. So it's something I've been talking about since the beginning of March. I'll leave you with this as it relates to that downer, is that if you go to my website, which it's completely free, you don't give me your email to then get anything that I put up on the website, but there's a page on jjthecpahelp.com. That's the community service website, jjthecpahelp.com. And the page is survival.
Yes.
And on that, I have a worksheet, which I think is most key for you to work through. It could be done in a matter of moments, or if you want to get a little more detailed, you could spend a little more time. But nonetheless, you need to figure out what your cash position is going to be by August 21st. You need to know where it's going to be in 3 weeks. Because if you know where you're going to be in 3 weeks, you're going to know what decisions you need to make right now. If you're out of money in 3 weeks, then you know you have to make different decisions right now to avoid being out of money in 3 weeks. But I've got a worksheet to walk you through that. All right, so goodness, we got 91 people on, 21 thumbs up, which I appreciate. If you don't mind, we don't really get anything out of this, so to speak. I know there's maybe an ad at the beginning, but nonetheless, the thumbs up, thank you. We've already I think, got an additional 4, 7, 8. I really appreciate that. Valerie Clark, good to see you. And Kathy, good to see you. Thanks for coming on. If you just joined us, I don't have the laptop, so I get about a 1-second pop-up of who is on here. So, all right, so we will, for those of you that have not been on the live before, welcome, thank you. We do plan to get back to Mondays and Fridays. We didn't do this last Monday. How does my hair look? Is it okay? Are you sure it's not sticking up right here? Aw, you're very kind. But the next round, the PPP 2.0, I think is going to be much needed. And so we plan to definitely get diligent. But if you haven't joined us before, we really do end up answering all the questions that are asked. So you don't have to worry about repeating your question or begging for an answer, because we are here to try and provide that to you. So, all right, well, let's get going with our questions for Friday. Today is July 31st.
Isn't that crazy?
What?
It's
We're going
crazy.
into August?
We're going into August.
31 days till September?
I know.
We got like, what, 5 months till 2021? And here's why I'm saying that. Before we know it, we're going to be past all of this. Rob, how are you? Good to see you.
And this is RKIP72. I'm the sole proprietor and my bank wants proof of how I use PPP funds. I gave them a Schedule C, but they said they wanted checks as proof. Should I just write myself a single check?
I guess so. Your bank is ran by a bunch of idiots, and I'll just say it that way, like dumber than a load of wood, ridiculous goofballs that need to wake up, because for the self-employed, there is no separation between you and your business. So yeah, if they need to see that you wrote yourself a check, I guess you're gonna have to come up with it. The banks that I'm working with around here, they just need the Schedule C divided by 12 times 2.5, and you're good to go. 146 days until Christmas. Wow.
Stop it.
Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, I guess you'll need to do that, and I am going to be doing a video. Rob gave me a link as well, but what the SBA is indicating to the banks of what they need. So I don't believe that that is a part of it, and the other reason for it again is that there's no separation between you and your business. So it is silly, as in silly, that you have to show that you wrote yourself checks when the self-employed is simply getting profit. So anyways, hopefully that'll solve their ridiculous request.
Hopefully.
Yeah, what else we got?
All right.
And thanks for listening.
Joe Ryan, do you think the $10,000
What's up,
grant for a self-employed will be approved soon?
I don't. I did a video on it this morning, and unfortunately, if you're watching other YouTube channels, that's fine. But if you're doing any kind of additional inquiry about the advance, whether it's for self-employed or for any business, you know, it did run out a couple of weeks ago, but there's other channels that have kind of made me mad, to be honest with you, in that they're putting up information, at least in their thumbs, and if you listen to them for a few minutes, there are a couple of idiots out there that are giving out bad information, which is that the grant is back, the 10,000 is back, and it's not at all, not even close. Now, it is included in the HEALS Act to provide some funding. There are some senators that are talking about it and wanting to put more money into it, like they had to do with when they replenished it in April. But the SBA really did make a decision on their own that they were going to do 1,000 per employee, max 10,000, and that's been looked at and blessed by all the higher ups, for lack of a better word, including the U.S. Secretary of Treasury. So when and if they replenish it, I don't think it'll change that we now get a automatic $10,000 whether you applied or going to apply. I really feel like it's going to be just 1,000 per. But just to be clear, it's not back. It's not been funded. And anybody indicating that it has is misleading. And if you even look carefully, when you're doing your research, you'll see that, Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, all the ones that are actually reporting on it, are making it clear. Quite frankly, it's not even a top story anywhere, except it seems on some YouTube stories that are trying to get people to click and basically get misled. So I hate to say it, but I don't think it'll be the 10 grand for the self-employed. I think it'll be 1,000 per employee, up to 10,000 if the HEALS Act is approved as is, and most likely it will not. I even think PPP2 has a risk of not coming about, or at least not in the same manner, even though I think that that is very important that come back into play. So let's hope, but I don't think it's likely at all. So hey, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully we've got everybody here that's also subscribed. Thanks for the thumbs up. We got 44 thumbs up. Thank you for 114 of you joining us here on Friday. What are we doing? We're answering questions that you have related to what's going on right now in the world. You bet. Thanks, Joe. John Jasper. John, PPP2, that's the word of the day.
Sodersburg Hotel. If you have a loss in 2019 tax return, are you disqualified from the EIDL loan?
Not at all. What they're going to be looking at is what was your gross revenue, and then the SBA came out and definitely clarified more that what you would put down is what are your cost of goods sold. In your industry, you don't really have cost of goods sold, so you would just put down what your revenue is. Cost of goods sold would be, what are you buying and reselling? Maybe, if you're reselling t-shirts and snacks and things like that, that might technically be your cost of goods sold, but it's just based on your gross. What I recommend is that when you go to apply, which you need to just do it today, go apply. Tell you why after I tell you this. Have your tax return available, because you're going to want to answer all the questions exactly as it is on the tax return. Even if your preparer put drive and you live on road, or your work is on road, you need to put drive. You need to put the exact information in that application as what's been reported to the IRS, because that's what the SBA is matching up to. And believe it or not, fraud can be detected because somebody put in that they live on, Park Place Drive when the tax return said Park Place Lane or whatever. And it'll ask for who the owners are, 20% or more. You're going to need their social, their home address. Yes, home address. If you're a sole proprietor, get the Schedule C out. If you don't have a EIN on your Schedule C, you use your social. But answer all of the questions, most importantly, that match up to anything that's been filed with the IRS. If you hit something and you're like, well, I don't know if I should do it, push through it. When you sit down to do the EIDL application, if you have your tax return in front of you, which if you have partners and you have their social security numbers and their addresses, you should be able to get through all of it. You need to do it. And here's why. You're going to see if you're going to get approved and what dollar amount. Then you have a decision if you want that dollar amount. That's going to have to then get officially approved, and then you have 30 days to actually take it. So the better thing to do is get in there, see what you qualify for, and then what I'm recommending to my clients, if they do qualify, that they go ahead and get it, sit on it. I get that if you get the money, they're going to start charging you interest minute one. You don't have to make payments for 12 months. But here's my litmus test. Here's my, you don't need this loan if you're going to be concerned on the amount of interest that's going to accrue over the next 12 months. If you're worried about the amount of interest that's going to accrue over the next 12 months, then your house is not on fire, as I talk about. If your house is on fire, you're not going to worry about what size hose you should use, or if you could go and grab your neighbor's hose that's hooked up right next door. You're going to go and put that fire out. So I usually tell people, if you're worried about the interest, move on. Card shop reality, look at that. Made it on. So I'm not an advocate for debt. I'm not. What I'm an advocate for is having a safety net, and this can be a safety net because it's not gonna, how can it just be forever that they can just loan money out and loan money out and loan money out? And then also if you have a relationship with a bank, they may not be able to allow you to have that same amount of credit available later. Valerie wants to know if we have time for a question. We do, but what's the next one? So thanks for that, and hopefully you're able to get it. We got 53 thumbs up, 116 people. Thanks for joining us. It's happy hour. Orange juice, water, milk, coffee, a Coke, adult beverage, Diet Mountain Dew. PPP2 is the word for having a drink. What's our next question?
All right, Snowbird Bob.
All right, what's going on?
Do you think the new 7A loans will be like the PPP as far as credit and such if a bill gets approved? I sure hope so.
I think it'll be exactly the same as PPP, as in no credit required. We got Cindy on. Love it, love it, love it. Happy Friday, happy hour.
Bye, Card Shop. Thanks for coming
Oh,
on.
yeah, we'll see you, CSR. Thanks for coming on. So from the standpoint of the Paycheck Protection Program, I think they're going to keep a lot of it similar. I talk about it in the video that we just released. Probably should have released it after, but anyways, the aspect of it is it's meant to provide for those that are being hit by the pandemic. Now, if you're going to go get a traditional SBA loan that's not through the SBA.gov, which is up to 150 grand, or you're not getting Paycheck Protection Program monies, then of course it'll be based on credit for that. So I'm really feeling like it's going to be very, very similar. It just is going to provide this added qualification of ensuring that your revenue has been affected by COVID. And then based on what we're seeing, it's all proposed. Who knows? It may be that there's an opportunity that we can spend money on other things besides payroll, rent, utilities, and interest. But I do feel there'll still be the same qualification of 60% to be spent on payroll in order to qualify.
This is from Brian. Are you anticipating more EIDG money from the new legislation?
I am anticipating that they will most likely replenish it when they went and put more money into PPP, which was, I want to say, another 130 billion or so above, not 130 billion, it was 330 billion. They put only another 10 billion into the grant money. So with that being said, I feel like, yeah, it's an easy way for them to help. And then the EIDL's been around for a long time. The grant that goes along with it's been around a long time. So it's not anything related to the COVID pandemic. So that's why I think it'll be replenished. It's possible they replenish it and make it available for disasters that are not COVID, or they make it available to certain industries, similar to how when the EIDL opened back up, it was only for the agricultural business. I don't know that it will be where they retroactively give you out the dollars, maybe. So from my standpoint, I don't know that we should count on it. I don't think you should count on it if you already applied and got the EIDL, because that was just a period of time where it just didn't have any. I don't think it's going to be retroactive, but I'll tell you this, if it is retroactive, it's a bonus, so to speak, for those that need it. And then as we move forward, for those that are getting the EIDL, I know that that was a nice, kind of shot in the arm to be able to get those funds the way that they've been given out. So we'll see.
All right, we've had 3 questions where people want to know about Coop,
Oh.
baseball, and if he made his decision on college.
Well, thank you. So Yeah. So my son Cooper, he is interning with me. The first set of books that he got to work on was we are helping Imagine That Toys as part of the reality show, which we had our season 1 finale last night. But Coop's doing well in the sense he's loving it, enjoying the internship as it relates to baseball. He played in a tournament last weekend. We were in Joplin, and we went live in Joplin, didn't we?
But then we didn't. They never knew what the outcome was because we didn't go live.
Right. Yeah. But anyway, so no, he hasn't made his decision. He is at the lake this weekend with his girlfriend and her family, which are great people. And so he is thinking he's going to make a decision next week. But he did have a really good outing. He pitched 5 innings. That's what's typical for high schoolers. He did that in 61 pitches, which is very efficient. Most of the time, high schoolers hit about 4th inning and they've hit their pitches. And then he only had to face 18 batters, which in 5 innings, you have to at least face 15 batters. So he had to face only 3 additional batters beyond what would be required, so to speak. He did give up hits, didn't give up any runs, and didn't have any walks. What's funny is that it was the first game in his life he actually didn't have any strikeouts. The team that he was playing, I mean, give a couple of pitches and you get a grounder or fly out, and that's also, I think, what people like. So he did have some colleges there. Got to sit with one of the coaches that I think they probably want him the most. But anyway, so thank you for asking on that. And once we know, I can't wait to share. Yeah, okay. So thank you so much for that.
And
PPP2, if you haven't known, that today is Friday, it's happy hour, and PPP2 is permission to have something to drink, including water.
ICC 2676. Your videos are so very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If I already received ERC during 315 to 515, but recently I've received my PPP money, do I need to pay back ERC?
Yeah, I hate to tell you, yes. The IRS, but hold tight on it. The IRS did come out at the end of April, I want to say it was, because I was a holdout in really believing that you couldn't do ERC and PPP if you were paying employees before you got PPP. But the IRS made it crystal clear in the sense that they indicated that if you got PPP, regardless of when you got the loan, you no longer qualify for the employee retention credit, or you just don't. So as it relates to the employee retention credit, you obviously got it before you got your PPP, you didn't know. The IRS came out with the new Form 941, and basically what's indicated is there's a line item where if you received ERC and later it's determined that you didn't qualify for it, which, believe it or not, you can get ERC, the employee retention credit, in advance. So there's also some that were in the set of circumstances where they got an advance and they didn't qualify for as much. But anyways, on your Form 941, you'll see it's on page 1, near down the bottom, the credits. You will recapture it, in essence. And when you do that, the IRS, in my opinion, hasn't determined when. We already had to file second quarter, which is due today. So if you didn't include it in your second quarter 941, as far as I know, you can do it in third quarter. Now, I don't think there's any kind of penalty or circumstances like that, because they did indicate that they're waiving penalties for a period of time, which falls in your period of time if you got some aid. So you will be able to pay that back. The reason I said hang on a second, though, is that in the HEALS Act, boy, my accent's coming out.
It is.
Heal.
Heal.
Like like your wound heals, right? The HEALS Act. They have a provision in there. It's all proposed, indicating that you may be able to get employee retention and PPP. As it's written now, it would only be applicable to third and fourth quarter, and you wouldn't be able to use employee retention credit for the same payroll expenses that you would be counting for PPP purposes. All to say, I'm holding out hope that one of the ways they may provide help and aid is that if you were a business and your gross sales were down, which is one of the ways to qualify for ERC, that they would allow it to be retroactive. Because I know for me personally, and for all of my clients, I'm not saying I'm not saying this in a way of like being better than other businesses, but I was not letting my clients let go of their employees, knowing they were going to get the PPP and knowing that they had to spend the money on their employees. All to say that March 13th, at least through March 31st, no tax credits were available on the sick leave and the Expanded Family Medical Leave Act. Only the ERC was available, and myself and all of my clients continued to pay their employees even though they weren't yielding the sick leave or the Expanded Family Medical Leave Act tax credits, which came out before the CARES Act. And for me, I feel like those businesses that paid it out of their pocket and have had revenue drop should qualify for it at any time except the payroll that is being paid for by PPP. So I would tell you this, I don't have any clients that did the ERC because I told everybody if you're getting PPP, you can't do it. But given that you already have the credit, pay close attention to the HEALS Act. It may be that you will end up qualifying, but that's a big if because it hasn't passed.
Give a big shout out to PB, who is on.
Hey, PB, what's going on?
JJ, the CPA, works hard for us. Just an awesome guy.
Thank
And
you.
next to a hardworking man is a harder working woman. We appreciate Miss Amanda.
Well, thank you. And I saw we had somebody in from Vegas. Normally I have a computer here, and so I can see comments and who's on. All I've got right now is just my phone, and the comments come up, and they come up, and about this quickly they start to disappear. So it's hard for me to see them. So thank you everybody for joining us. We're still going to keep answering questions. It's Friday, happy hour, and PPP2 is the word of the day for us to be able to enjoy whatever beverage is in front of you. What do we got next?
And this is from Charlotte, so I'm not sure if you want to, how detailed you want to answer it now, or if you want to talk to her about her whenever you visit with her. But, okay, so off the PPP topic, but in my QuickBooks and my mess with generating rules on my download transfers, since they are all money transfers when I reconcile, can I let QuickBooks fix it for me?
Yeah, you know what, Charlotte and I, we're going to be talking Thursday. She's a part of our 12-week program that we're putting together. I don't know that I would rely on that, and so we might need to talk specifically about what you're indicating there. One of the ways that you can try it is if you make a copy of your QuickBooks data that you have now, put it somewhere else, and then if there is a function that you're talking about where QuickBooks is going to fix it, which may work, then you could give it a trial run and see if it does it. And then if it does not, because that typically is irreversible, then you would be able to just use the original data.
CSR says that he is really rooting for another It's My Day Off video from the pool.
Well, awesome.
He's hoping there's another one that
Well,
comes
awesome.
out.
Yeah, you know what? I think we'll have to put it back up. I actually pulled it down.
No, I think you put it back up.
I don't think
Oh,
I
you
did.
didn't? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I pulled it down. I was like,
Everybody
Anyways.
loved it.
Yeah, well, it didn't have that many views, and so I was thinking, well, maybe people
Yeah.
were turned off by it, and I was like,
They loved it. Our
Yeah.
hardcores.
Well, thank you.
John Jasper. the
What's up,
CPA.
John? What's going on with my friend?
What about the 150,000 and under robo forgiveness?
Yeah, so great question on that. We know that the U.S. Secretary to the Treasury, as well as the SBA Director, I guess at this point was a couple of weeks ago, Rob sent me a link to the video and highlighted or time marked some of the highlights there. But they did indicate and question them on should they, being Congress, should they just basically have a blanket full forgiveness for a certain dollar amount. What was being thrown around is 150,000. That does seem to be a threshold that the government is indicating by releasing names of people that got more than 150,000 as a threshold that if you were below 150,000, it must be immaterial to them, not big dollars to the government. If you're above 150,000, I mean, that's a lot of money either way, but that's something of concern for them. But what the Secretary of the Treasury had indicated, which I agree with, is that they still need to have people hand in some kind of a document, which quite frankly, the one that we have now, the EZ, I think is about as easy as it can get. But I think there's gonna have to be some calculation. And the reason for that is that we know at the beginning that, oh, Glenda's with us. Glenda,
Yes,
how
I was
are
just
you?
about to tell you.
Yeah. But we know at the beginning of PPP, John, you know this, with some confusion, the SBA came out with their third application, not even saying it as a criticism, but they came out with their third application the morning that everything opened up on April 3rd, and came out with additional guidelines 3 times the next week and some heavy new guidelines on April 14th, on and on and on, to say that there were those in the beginning that got more than they should, not intentionally. The biggest part of that is that the 1099s that were sent out were getting included as payroll. So I think there's going to be some calculation that are still going to be required for employers. And I think though for the self-employed, they could go one extra step for the self-employed, which is to do away with the line items that are called payroll costs and utilities and rent and interest, and just have a line item that says what's line 31 of your 2019 Schedule C, divide it by 12 times 2.5. What was your loan amount? Boom. If the line 31 is the same, you're going to get full forgiveness either way. So I don't think there's going to be a robo amount. I think if there would, which would just be like, if it's less than this. I think if they did that, it might be if it was less than maybe $10,000 or something to that. I think it would be a very low threshold for that. So thank you for the question, John. And if you're just joining us, thank you so much. I saw real quick some nice compliments.
Yes.
Typically I have my computer up, which I don't, so I didn't get to see. You get to see, but thank you so much for being on. Thank you for the compliments. What other question do we got?
This is from Humani. I've got an EID application waiting for my signature. My house isn't on fire yet, but I'm trying to plan the future. Do you think that if I sign the documents now, will that have any impact on any future stimulus?
Well, gosh, a disclaimer here is obviously who knows, right? The EIDL has in the past hasn't affected anything else, meaning it hasn't affected PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. It hasn't affected the Paycheck Protection Program. In fact, it doesn't even affect whether or not you get the grant or not, meaning you could get the grant and not the loan. You can get the loan and not the grant, where we are sitting right now. So I really can't speak to, do I think it would affect future aid at all? Because there might, there might come a time with all the aid that's being given out that they indicate like, well, if you already got this and you got this, we're not going to be able to help you with this. I'd be surprised by that. I think more what you should be maybe comparing is maybe assume that you wouldn't be able to get PPP, let's say. Well, how much PPP would you get? Okay, number one. Number two, is your gross sales down? All we know is what's proposed right now. So if you watch the video that I put out here today, it's PPP 1.0 times 2.0. I walked through a calculation, but my point in saying that is, would you even qualify for Paycheck Protection Program 2.0? Because if you're not going to even qualify for it, based on what we know, well, then there would be nothing that you would be doing without. That's right. Now, John said that did PPP 2.0. So cheers to everybody. Happy Friday. But, you know, if your sales are kind of the same, if they're only been down 10%, maybe even 20%, and it doesn't look like you're going to qualify for PPP, if you're not qualifying for PUA, I don't know what else they're going to provide. I feel like whatever they are putting together is going to have to last us for sure through the election, probably for sure through the rest of the year. So see if you think you would qualify for anything else, and then compare what you would qualify for possibly compared to the EIDL. So I know you have kind of bird in hand here with that loan. Then secondary, what I would look at is what's going to be your cash position. I mentioned earlier, if you go to my website, jjthecpahelp.com, it's a complimentary website. You don't give me your email address to then get whatever it is that I put on there, but there's a survival page where I have a worksheet you can go through to determine what is your cash position in 3 weeks. So maybe your house is not on fire today. I appreciate the reference. But will it be on fire in 3 weeks? Will it be on fire in 6 weeks? What you would hate to have happen is that your house gets on fire and there is no aid that you qualify for, meaning maybe you don't qualify for the Paycheck Protection Program 2.0. You wouldn't qualify for PUA. Maybe EIDL is more driven to specific industries. We've seen it already. I believe there's about a 2-week period that when the EIDL program got funded, even just at the grant level, it was only available to the agricultural businesses. So if you feel like your house is going to be on fire in the next 6 to 8 weeks, then it would make sense to have a safety net, and the safety net would be your EIDL. You can pay it off at any time. There's no prepayment penalties. It's 3.75% interest. You pay it out over 30 years. Not that you would want to, of course, but all that means is that there's a very low required monthly payment that should be easily able to be made. I'm advising my clients without any consideration of it affecting future aid that if they qualify for the EIDL, to get it and get the full amount. And the clients that I'm dealing with, they're not worried about whether or not there's going to be any interest. So let me just put it this way. If I had a client ask me that question, I would say, get the EIDL, deal with it later. If it's going to affect, bye Cindy. If it's going to affect future aid. And then if someone wanted to go one extra step, I would then go, well, are your revenues down? And if they're way down, well, then do you qualify for PPP? And do we think there would be an effect? And I'm telling you, there hasn't been. So good luck to you on that, in that decision. I can't find anywhere how many days you have. I think Rob was in agreement with me that I think you have 30 days. So I wouldn't wait much more than 10, 20 days. I'd be making a decision because you'll probably really be, to say it lightly, you'll be really kicking yourself if you need the aid later and it's not available to you. I was visiting with a client, real quick story, on Wednesday, and they said that when the pandemic hit, they had 2 lines of credit. I think one was $25,000, the other was $150,000, and they were immediately to zero. The banks immediately just said, you don't even owe us anything, but you don't have this line of credit anymore. Boom, you have no line of credit available to you. Excellent credit, they've borrowed on it, paid it back, excellent credit in every regard, and it was, you have no available credit to you, as well as number of clients and people that have been tuning in to have their limits on their credit cards reduced. So I think it's just, I hate to say it, I just think it's gonna get worse. I hate to be that way. I'm a very optimistic person, but I think it's gonna get worse for us financially. Obviously before it gets better, but I think it's gonna get a lot worse.
Melanie.
Hey, Melanie.
I mistakenly thought the sick leave tax credit only applied if employees had COVID for sure, not for quarantine. So we had employees we paid, but we didn't apply for tax credits. Any way to fix that? Yeah,
you can do it at any time. And the way that you would correct that is just like non-aggressively, this is how it works, but whenever you go to do your next federal tax deposit for payroll taxes, whatever that credit is, doesn't matter that it's in the past, you will reduce down your deposit by the amount of your credit. Now, the credit is limited to the Social Security tax that the employer pays, but it's the employer Social Security tax for the calendar year. And so anyways, you reduce down your federal deposit, and then when the Form 941 is filed for the quarter, there's a line item now on the new Form 941, page 1 near the bottom, where you indicate that was your tax credit amount. And if they were told that they may have it, they were told by a medical professional that they needed to quarantine, it's up to 10 days, maximum $511 per day. If they were caring for somebody, sounds like those are the circumstances, that either had COVID or they were told by a medical professional to quarantine, and it's a family member, and I don't even mean it has to be an immediate, but then it's $200 a day, max 10 days. And then remember this too, that they have the Expanded Medical Leave Act, where if you have an employee that had a kid out of school, so of course remember this goes all the way back to April 1st, but if they had someone under age 18, it specifically says under age 18, and the school was closed and they had to be home, even if they were working from home, but they had to be home, then you get a credit. It's a max $200 a day, a maximum $10,000 per employee. The one thing I'll note though is that whatever payroll you are including to determine or take this payroll tax credit, those payroll dollars can't be used and added and included in your PPP calculation. But now that we have the 24 weeks, shouldn't be really a concern. The CARES Act specifically allows you to continue to take the sick leave and the Expanded Medical Leave Act tax credits, even if you got PPP. The CARES Act specifically says you can do both, just not on the same payroll. The CARES Act does specifically state you don't get the employee retention credit and PPP. There was some vagueness to it, I thought, but then the IRS came out. But you can do that at any time. And then I'll just note one other thing to you, is that regardless if you got PPP, the IRS clarified this. At this point, it was probably a little over a month ago, but originally the PPP CARES Act was written that in addition to these credits, or separate from these tax credits, that an employer can defer all of their Social Security employer taxes, not the employee portion, but the employer portion of Social Security tax can be deferred until next year, and you would pay half of that tax in 2021 and half of it in 2022. But it indicated if you were getting PPP, you couldn't do that. Then the SBA, IRS got together and said, well, we're gonna let you do that, but you can't do it once your PPP has been determined as forgiven, But then with the latest round of what passed, here's the long and short of it is, it doesn't matter if you got PPP, you can defer the employer portion of Social Security taxes. It does not affect the calculation of whether or not you qualify for the sick leave or the the expanded Family Medical Leave Act tax credit. So it's just another aspect, depending on how much payroll tax you have, that you can defer that as well. You can pay it at any time, but you can at least be deferring that. And the way that you experience the deferral is what I had just said, that how you experience the tax credit, which is you reduce down your federal payroll tax deposits. There's no way to disclose it at the time you're doing it, but it's disclosed at the time that you file the Form 941. So that is part of what I'm doing a seminar next week to a group of CPAs here in Oklahoma by Zoom. And basically I came up with the concept of, what do we do now? Like, what else is available to us? And so anyways, those would be things to for sure take advantage of.
James, can a business,
What's up, James?
nonprofit, apply for a 7A if already in queue for EIDL?
Well, you'll have to just check with the bank. I don't know why not, if you're in line for the EIDL. It was opened up for that. There's so many different kinds of nonprofits. So your SBA lender that would be doing your 7A loan would have to make that determination. So what I would say is get on the horn with them and let them, obviously disclose that you're getting the EIDL. However, I do know this, that getting the EIDL doesn't have a direct impact on being able to get any other kind of loan. It might be a part of the consideration of how much debt a business or a nonprofit has, because the banks and the SBA, they want to get paid back. So I would check with your bank on that one. But I'd be giving the same answer if you were a nonprofit or a business.
Mario, are you doing any business taxes for 2020?
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm not doing any tax preparation. I have a good friend, Justin McAuliffe, if you want to send us an email, and anybody that's looking to hire someone to help them with their taxes, I'm referring them over to him. What I am doing though is, I think the value that I'm bringing now after 27 years is less of preparing the taxes and more about the advice or the planning that I'm doing with my current clients. So I haven't brought on any new clients in over 2 years, believe it or not, very purposely. Probably turned away a couple hundred since this has all occurred. I don't know how many we've indicated, but anyways, go to jjthecpa.com, jjthecpa.com, and I have a spot there, if you so choose, where you can schedule a phone call with me or a Zoom with me, and I'd be able to help that way, but I'm not doing any preparation service. The other part of that is that I'm not licensed in any other states. I do have my license in Texas and in Kansas, but I'm not taking on any new clients either way. But anyway, but thank you for that. I really do appreciate the question.
Peggy, I got PPP loan money July 10th. What other form do I fill out for the forgiveness on this loan?
What did they get?
PPP.
Oh, self-employed? Doesn't say. Yeah, so go to jjthecpahelp.com, different website than what I just said a minute ago. jjthecpahelp.com. If you're self-employed, I've got a page for you. If you're an employer, I have a page for you that has the application on there as well as the instructions. And then I'll just say this, you can use the PPP EZ application for forgiveness. In essence, if you haven't let any employees go, if you're self-employed, you don't have any employees that you've paid less than 25%. But when you go to the PPP application, the EZ, it has first page, all the different ways that you can qualify to complete the EZ, which is EZ. So go to jjthecpahelp.com, and I've got 3 pages on PPP, 2 of them related to forgiveness. I also have two special playlists on my channel where I do step-by-step and detailed videos on the forgiveness. So also check out the playlist related to PPP forgiveness.
Michael.
PPP2. That's our indication that you get to enjoy whatever's in front of you, to have a nice little drink. Thank you for joining us. We got 78 thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Got 158 of you on with us today. Thank you so much.
Michael, JJ got the EIDL loan 30 years at 3.75%. Are they going to send me a 1099 on that?
Well, it would be a Form 1098 most likely, what you're looking for, which would be the interest. And I don't know the answer to that. Typically, Form 1098 to show the amount of interest you paid is if it's directly a loan tied to your a real estate property, as in a mortgage. So I don't know the answer to that because no one has yet determined. However, most loans, if they're not tied to a mortgage, don't produce the Form 1098. The amount of interest that you paid, you will be able to deduct even if you don't get the Form 1098 because it is a business loan. Take note of this though, if you don't make any payments this year, even though it accrues interest, you'll not be able to write off the interest until you start making payments, because again, as cash basis taxpayers, we only get to write off what we actually pay for, not what was accrued. So long story short, I would say that at year end, I don't know how the SBA is going to keep up with us yet, but I do feel like we'll have some kind of indication or statement from them. Great question. Thank you.
Arthur, now that the unemployment is officially at the end, is it safe to apply for PPP as an independent contractor and Uber driver?
Yeah, and I'd get on it because you have to get it approved by August 8th. So do it today. There's online places that you can go. I'm not going to make any recommendations, but you want to go and apply ASAP, which is your Schedule C. You can go to my website, jjthecpahelp.com. The main page is the PPP page. You're going to take your Schedule C for 2019 divided by 12 times 2.5, and then that would be the PPP amount that you'd be able to get. It's based on the net of Schedule C.
Ruben,
What's up, Ruben?
I have 2 ballrooms with 2 different EINs.
Mm-hmm.
They think my second application is a duplicate. How would you suggest I fix it?
Yeah, I would just give them a holler, and what they're gonna probably inquire of further is, even though you have 2 EINs, is it 2 separate businesses? Do you have 2 separate tax returns? Now, if you reported your ballroom revenue on your individual return on Schedule C, so even if you had 2 Schedule Cs using 2 different EINs, the way the SBA interprets that though is that that is one business, as in you're self-employed, so that is all one. But if you're filing separate tax returns, an S Corp return or a partnership return, C Corp return, then that's what I would have in hand, and give the SBA a call. I mean, I've heard great things about them. I know someone that had to give them a call and was very helpful, meaning like in the last week or so.
Okay, can South Clinton Liquor.
Okay, thanks for coming on.
JJ, if I apply for the EIDL loan, is it a guarantee that the SBA will give me the loan if I meet the credit score guidelines?
No. I don't know really what their guidelines are. I've not come across anything. And I will tell you this, that I've got clients and some friends that they don't qualify for any loan. They don't qualify for a car loan, which is typically the easiest loan to get. They don't qualify. And they got SBA EIDL. So All you have to do is apply to actually know the answer to it. And if you're worried about a ding to your credit, then you probably don't really need the loan. And I say that in a way to encourage you, because if you need it, go get it. If you're him-hawing about whether or not someone's going to see that your credit was pulled, then you probably don't really need it, because it is a loan. You will have to pay it back. And but I bet you do need it. And if you do, then go apply. It's very easy. You don't have to take it. Once you know the dollar amount, you accept that dollar amount, and then they do the final approval of it. And so then you have another opportunity to say, I don't want it. So at the end of the day, the best answer for you is just to go and apply and get it. But I don't know of anybody that has had been denied due to credit. Now, it might have been denied and they think it's due to credit, but it could be because they have already a ton of loans. It could also be that they don't have a business that's been established in the right time period. And it could also be that they have a federal lien, or there's something on their credit, or there's something else. But I don't really feel like the credit score has come into play. I'm sure there's some that are going to say, well, no, it was credit. I don't know how you know that, because they don't tell you that. Maybe if you talk to one of the SBA people and they told you that, I still wouldn't believe it. Not to say they're lying, but when I have people that like have the worst credit you've ever seen in your life and they're getting a full SBA loan, how can it be contingent on credit? So go ahead and go get that for yourself, and then you have two different additional times to decide if you actually are going to do it.
Joseph and Rosa are basically asking the same question, and that is, can you ask for additional EIDL money?
If you originally qualified, let's say for $30,000, and you decided you were only going to take $7,000, best I know, you can call the SBA with your loan information and inquire if you can get the full amount. Now, I don't have anybody yet that's done that. I don't know the result of it. I think you indicated, though, Amanda, you had read somewhere people have 60 days to go back and do that. But if you qualified for $36,000, they gave you $36,000, you took $36,000, I don't know of any way that you're able to get any more. Those that have thought they could and reapplied, wasn't that they got in trouble, but they were denied because they already got what the SBA was going to provide. So I would say if you didn't take the full amount, get a hold of the SBA and see if you can't now get the rest, but I wouldn't hem-haw around on that one.
And Terry D, I didn't
Terry
see
D.
you, but that should answer your question too, because she
Terry
asked
D.
the same question.
Yeah, Terry
So-
D, how are you?
John Jasper, CPA.
John,
again.
let's go.
What about late 941 payment penalties for Q2? Will there be a robo abatement there too?
Yeah, you know, that was what I was talking about earlier, is that the IRS, and I'm sure you probably already found it, but probably on irs.gov. But yeah, they were providing for the month of April no penalty zone because of all the things that were going on, and they didn't have, you know, the 941 in play with all the different things that were becoming available, et cetera, et cetera. So probably on that, whatever's filed, I'd be surprised if there is a penalty. However, if the computer spits it out, like they probably would, the IRS that is, then probably just find whatever, of course you would know this, right? Just find whatever the IRS had put out there and put together a letter. I'm hoping the IRS just puts something, a blanket on the penalties. I don't have any clients that fell into that, so I don't have any experience yet. All the clients, you know, that I work with, they use a third party to do the payroll, and so there weren't any issues there. But let me know what you come up with, and as always, thanks for being on. Thanks for being on last night with our season finale of season 1. If you are just joining us, thank you. Happy Friday. We've got 88 thumbs up. I appreciate that. If you can smash the thumbs up. That'd be greatly appreciated. But we had put together a reality show. We're going to do season 2 and 3. Season 1, we've got 15 episodes plus 3 pre-episodes. So we have a playlist on that. And the reality show was helping fellow businesses that got hit with COVID that otherwise had no financial issues, just trucking along like any other small business. So we wrapped up season 1. Season 1, it proved to be difficult because Glenda, have a great weekend.
Bye, Glenda.
It proved to be difficult because we were thinking that we would have been able to go on tour. So Paul, what's going on? Good to see you. Our word today is PPP 2.0, and I'm running low here.
I know. Well, this is our last. Looks like, yeah, maybe we have two left. Sultana, a person over 65 years old who is no longer paying taxes. How do they apply for PPP for their little small business?
Well, the PPP is based on your net, and so if you're not paying taxes, you probably don't have enough net. But you would need to have filed a Schedule C for 2019 to be able to qualify if you're self-employed. If you own a business with employees somehow, then they would you would be able to get it based on your payroll. If you're going for the EIDL, you had to have filed a tax return for the business somehow. Is my understanding on it. So anyways, at the end of the day, you could always try. I don't want to ever discourage somebody that needs the funds if they have a business. But again, PPP is based on what you filed, which is a Schedule C for self-employed, and it's on the net. And then for employers, it's based on what you actually paid out in W-2 wages. So someone said they were the first time here, so we really appreciate you being on. We're answering the last few questions here.
Michael, hi, this is my first time on here. I have a question on my EIDL. My husband, Michael, has a checking account and I am a beneficiary on that account. Can I have my EIDL sent to that account?
Well, let's see. So you're a beneficiary on the account. Well, on the EIDL, probably on that, you could ask the SBA. I know that the clients that I have advised to get the EIDL, when they said, well, what bank account do I need to use? I counseled them that whatever their account is that they're using for the business, to have the SBA put it into that account. And then from there, if you're making a decision of what to do with the funds, but I would probably say that.
Bye, Charlotte.
Bye, Charlotte. Hope your weekend goes okay with everything that's going on. So really what it'd come down to is that I would probably say you could put the EIDL at risk of getting it from the SBA if it's going to an account that's not tied to the business or not in the business owner's name. So the fact that you're a beneficiary or even a signer, the SBA is not going to, in my opinion, pay attention to that. What they're going to pay attention to is where is the business account, or if it's in your husband or partner, whatever name, then it would need to go to that account. And then the EIDL, I've got a number of videos. I got a playlist about the EIDL. So I would ask you to go check out the latest videos that I've done. Check out the playlist for EIDL on what you can use the EIDL for, which is ongoing expenses only. Owners can't pull out money for themselves unless it's wages. The self-employed can pull out money for themselves, but not to exceed, in essence, $20,833.
Whiffline Colors
Aww.
has said that she said, I speak for the majority, but I feel that we should get a live now on Wednesdays since you've taken since the reality show is over. So then we have Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with you.
You're so sweet. Well, I really appreciate that. Amanda and I are looking to put together something to replace the Thursday. I know that as PPP 2.0, happy Friday, I've got a little bit left. I'm good.
Okay.
We probably are going to take a little bit of time off, but we're talking about putting together a talk show. And if you want to get a glimpse of it, can you put a link to the body?
I don't know what YouTube's
Yeah.
being stupid.
Oh, well then don't worry about it. Anyways, back in, was it the summer of 2018? I know.
It was summertime.
Yeah, it was in 19.
Yeah.
Anyways, Amanda and I went live on LinkedIn and I think on YouTube. But anyways, there's a number of videos and we're thinking about doing something like that once a week, which would be basically like a show. It wouldn't be a reality show. It'd be kind of a recap, talking about a bunch of different stuff, keeping it kind of fast paced, and wouldn't really replace the reality show. But I will say this, if the HEALS Act goes into play, I think we're going to see an immediate increase in information being needed, which then would lead us to go live. But I really appreciate that with
All
Flying
right.
Colors.
And this is our last one, and it's from Mick Big Swig.
Okay, Mick Big Swig.
Hi Amanda and JJ. Quick recap on the replacement for the $600 weekly PUA supplement news. Thank you.
Quick what?
Recap.
Yeah, so on that, it's done. And I know that, for instance, California and other states are indicating that if you were getting the $600, here's now what you're going to continue to get. And I think the PUA really didn't end up getting paid out the way that it was meant or the way that it was written, which is very frustrating. But nonetheless, it is that you should be able to get unemployment for another 13 weeks. It will not be the $600. It'll be another 13 weeks. It'll be at a reduced amount. What's in the HEALS Act is that it would be $200 or 70% of your income, whichever is lower, in addition to the state. The way that I understand it now, and the reason that it's not a very informative recap, is that every state is approaching this differently. But my understanding, the way that it's supposed to be, and in the majority of the states, is that the the CARES Act provides that even if you've run out of unemployment that you would qualify for at the state level, then you would be able to continue to get your state unemployment for 13 weeks beyond if you were able to qualify for the PUA. You bet. Yeah, and you know, I saw the $158 and yeah, very low amounts. I think it's a little unfortunate that the sentiment of the HEALS Act is that they're not interested in providing extra unemployment benefits because they want to urge people to take their jobs back. But the problem with this is that that's a problem that was 8 weeks ago. Potentially. That was a problem when PPP 1.0 came out. The problem was you had employers that got the PPP 1.0 and they're closed, and they had already potentially put their employees on PUA, and now they're in a circumstance where the employees before were making more on PUA than what they could get paid regularly, which is what PPP was for. So yeah, there was a problem with that in April, in May, maybe in June, okay? It's not a problem anymore. So I'm not happy about it, and I don't even mean it from a sentimental. I think the problem with PPP is that you're putting that paycheck protection in the hands of employers that are now deep into the problems of COVID. right? So if a business had to close down or temporarily or partially, or they're getting 50% less business, they've already made adjustments to their payroll. They had to. They've had to either let people go, unfortunately, or those employees are on unemployment, or they've made adjustments because they've had employees on unemployment. And so now if they pay out the PPP and it's all based still on 2019 and they reduce down the PUA, I think that we are really looking at some problems here for those that don't own a small business or are not self-employed and don't have a job. That's where we're going to see, I think, the massive amount of issues coming into play, probably starting in September. And it's I hate to say it, but I think I say this to all my friends, whether you join me for the first time or not, thank you for being on, you're a friend, is this: we've got to get prepared. It's just not going to go well in the fall here, given that the numbers are up, businesses are having to close down or be partially closed down. People don't want to go out. People aren't wanting to shop. We're not going out to eat. I don't even know the last time I went to Target. I'm not going clothes shopping. I'm not going and spending money. I'm just not like I used to. We were going to go away a couple of times. We decided not to. We were going to go on a 16-day tour around the country, our tour to help businesses, and we canceled that. So we didn't spend money with the airline, even though we have credit with them, or hotel or food or any of that travel. Anyways, businesses are getting affected. There's not any help for the real estate industry. And as people can't pay rent, whether it's personally or with a business, you're seeing things shut down. So right now, I don't know what to say other than we just need to get prepared, which means that you need to start being a little more ruthless, whether you are an individual or a business owner. It's time to be ruthless now. Because if you're not ruthless, when you hit September, 31 days from now, we're going to be in desperate and dire needs. With that, I'm going to close in saying this, that with the help of Tony out of Florida, as he put it together, but he wanted, and so we set up a foundation. It's called B4B Cares. You can go to b4bcares.org. It's a .org. b4bcares.org. We have collected a lot of money so far, and I have been waiting for the right time, but the whole purpose of b4bcares.org is to help businesses that fell through the cracks. And that time will be coming. So I'm hoping that my videos don't get too dark. I'll try and be upbeat and have a smile and with a bright background. But I tell you what, in the month of August, I am going to have a series of videos of what do we need to be doing to get prepared, because I think there's a tornado coming, there's a hurricane coming in the financial world. There's opportunities during that time. All right, hey, I saw Mariana. Yes, I think it is.
Mariana's on, and by the way,
and John and Clay. What's going on, Clay?
Mariana was the one who had talked to us that one time that her client had the K1 and a W-2 and all that. Anyway, she fixed it all and ended up giving him a refund. So,
oh, perfect. I love it. I love it.
And Clay is on.
Yeah, Clay, how are you?
And Duvall.
And yeah. So, anyway. Yeah, thank you, Duvall. Good to see you all. And yes, thank you, Rob. I really appreciate that. And I'm so terrible with names. It was Mick Big.
Mick Big.
Yeah. I did see your comment there that, yeah, we are going to need the aid. Thank you, Patty B. Thanks for being on, and Fred and Glenda with Flying Colors. I don't have my computer, so who else are we wanting to tell everybody to have a good weekend?
To Mark and
thanks,
to Duvall
Mark.
and Valerie Clark. And Valerie,
yes.
we are going to have our lives on Friday. We just don't have the reality shows on Thursday. So.
Yeah. And we plan to go live on Monday.
Mark says JJ is a rock
Thanks, Brian.
star. And John Jasper, of course. Thank you for coming on
Thank
and
you, John.
helping out.
Faye, Bill, Tony,
Michael
Gene.
and Shot Call R.
Thank you. Said end it with a dinger.
End it with a dinger.
End it with a dinger. Valerie, I appreciate it. Duvall. Yes, thank you. I really appreciate that. Well, listen, you all have a great weekend, and then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me, and then don't you ever forget, you've never met anybody like you, and we will get through this. We will get through this. All right, hey, Mike, good to see you. Y'all have a great weekend. Derek, thank you, and Fred and CJ. And let's see, I don't have my glasses on. Faye, Bill, thank you so much. And Jason, yes, you all have a great weekend. Darkwater Megs, Mick Big, thank you so much. And Flawed, thank you. You rock. So let's get through this. Let's have a good weekend. Let's enjoy it. Let's just cinch it up. Let's cinch it up, and if we prepare for August, we will land in a better position in September. All right, thank you.
Bye, guys.
All right, we'll see you. Oh, and Mary Cooper. All right, thanks, y'all. Have a great, great weekend. I really appreciate all of you, and we will see you soon. Thank you so much, Mary. And Terry D. I don't have my glasses on. There we go. All right, we'll talk to y'all soon. Thank you so much, Kathy and Mark and Duvall. Peace and love.